Hello again. Welcome back to the True Church of Jesus Christ with His Latter-day Saints. And in this episode, it's a very special edition. We're going to talk about, first, the arcade of God, just like an arcade cabinet of Street Fighter. Now, this is a talk of, you could say, self-realization as well, but it also mixes into things that I've done in the world. So we're all of the world. Also, it's very important, too, that people have been asking me as well why I've shut the comments off of the YouTube channel. And this is what this episode is all about. It's all about exercising knowledge, experience, and obtaining, you could say, excellence or a grasp of all the characters. So just like the arcade of God, people don't even know. See, this is why I shut the comments off, because people aren't asking me about some of the characters about God. You know, like even some of the things too. So like just like a video game, right? We have all these characters. People don't even know that there's all these different Bibles. Oh, I'm very experienced at Street Fighter. And I know all the different characters in that game because I played that game for 20 years. And the thing is, I know about fear. People don't want to step out into something new. So just like that game, right? A lot of people just pick Ryu. And they just want to throw their little fireballs. Well, Ryu has more moves. It's just like the church of the world. So this message is also about the You Be Ready YouTube channel, the Lord's message of how he's very angry at the church. His church is rotten to the core. Why is it rotten to the core? Because in God's arcade machine, right? In God's arcade, you don't have to go out into the world. So just imagine a church as an arcade. That's not where God is. That's not where God's arcade is. Also with all of God's treasures, these characters. First off, God's in the midst of you. So the arcade of God is your own being. And God made the way back to the pearl of great price, which is the emptiness, the formless and the void, the immaterial consciousness. But people, this is why I shut the comments off. Because you'd rather come with your little comments to me. A guy that's been in the arcade of God for 30 years. Just like he's been in the arcade of Street Fighter in the world for about 20 years that I had to retire from. So I retired playing video games since 2017 because this is the thing I want to put your guys' knowledge to the test. See, when you guys come up to me with your Bible verses, you're going to have to use that when life confronts you with problems. You're going to have to use your own God realization. See Matthew chapter 6, come to me and ye shall know the truth. That's how much people have been putting their quarters or their time into God's arcade and prayer, you see. Prayer is how you play the game. How many people have been playing the game? See, they only come with Ryu, just the Old and New Testament, and they don't even know how to play Ryu correctly. They don't know what they're praying for, the light that enlightens all men. So that's why I shut the comments off, because people don't even inquire about how to play. They just come up with their ideas, their this, their that. This is how God operates too. He gave everybody individual intelligence. So everybody has to use their scriptures, because everybody's got their own mind, just like here, the wheel. Ah, yes, how long have you played the arcade of God? And how much do you think you know you're playing the arcade of God? Because we could see this in the video game world. People that just suck. They're crap and they're garbage. It's a waste of time for them to come up and pump their quarters into the machine. That's known as idolatry. You see this useless intelligence that wants to engage. It wants to play video games. It wants to play Street Fighter. It pretends that it's good at this game. It pretends to love it too, and it just picks Ryu. And all it knows how to do is throw fireballs. It pretends to know how to play. So that's like this church. It's a pretend church out in the world. It thinks it knows God. It thinks it knows how to play. So that's what God's like now. You have knowledge and you have this life. You have to apply your brain to this life. Me, see, God picks you out of the world. So this is my life, my time at the arcade with God. Oh, because anybody that knows me, I spent a lot of time with the arcade of Street Fighter. So this is God realization now. The people that come after me with your little scriptural knowledge, this is why I shut the channel off. Or not the channel, I was going to shut the channel off. So I don't want to play Street Fighter anymore. I don't want to play with the noobs in the world, the people in the church that are blind, deaf, and dumb, that don't know what they're praying for or to or how. They don't know how to play nothing. They go home. See, just like when I got really good at the game, right? So we'll start off when I was a kid. First, you're garbage in the world, right? You're a branch cut off, withers and dies. John chapter 15. You're just a noob. You walk up to the machine because of the carnal allurements, what looks cool. That's the religion of the world. You see the religious aspect of the wheel? People just attend religion because it's cool or something. They don't know how to play. Imitators, fake wannabes. Well, in God's arcade, he's got about 50 characters. So we'll go back to when I was a kid with Street Fighter. There's only about 8 characters. No 4N bosses, so no Balrog yet. No Vega. No Sagat, and no M. Bison. You can't pick them yet. It's just the 8 original. So the Church of the World has like 2 characters in its church, in its Bible, in its game, in its arcade. So when the noobs go in the church, they have 2 characters, the Old and the New Testament. And God's arcade, like God is infinite, immortal, and eternal, and within you too as well. So you don't have to go to the Church of the World. The arcade of God's within you. But that's why I shut the comments off, because people don't inquire the right things. So you want to pump your quarters in and play with me? This is how it goes down. I have to learn how to play, tough guy. So just like you have to learn how to play any game, this is why we contrast things. We bring the philosophia. Yes, our real experience. Because that's what obtaining the void's all about. So just like I was a kid, you're allured to the Street Fighter because I like fighting, like wrestling. You watch the wrestlers on TV, Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan, all that stuff, right? Boxing. Yes, I was a male, so I like doing male things. But also I was playing hockey and stuff like that. But then there's this video game, too. That's the big allurements of our age. So that took me away from my athleticism. In my 20s, I gained that back. But we'll start with the kid first. Because this Street Fighter was very important to my life. I spent at least 20 years playing this game. Mastered every game up until a certain point when it got redundant, you see. The world just keeps piling on the same crap with a different coat of paint. So that's when you ignore the world. My kingdom. This is when we seek higher knowledge. So the people of the church, they're flooded with their wives and their kids and their mind, this crap of the world. They're not playing the game right with God anyways. Seek my kingdom. My kingdom's not of this world. So the imitators and the fake ones with their little knowledge, right? They're just guys that are like Ryu that just know how to throw a fireball because they only spent a little bit of time at the arcade and they've been playing with crappy people that don't know how to play the game too. Oh, you know how that rolls when you play with crappy video game players. Nothing gets done. They're all garbage, stupid. Yeah, we all have that experience, and that's exactly what the church is like. Bunch of fools that don't know what they're doing and know how to play the game. So at a kid, right? You're in there in the arcade, pumping a few quarters in there, you gain a few experience. Oh, but you only know Ryu. You see, you only know this Old and New Testament. So you get good with Ryu at first. You have to know he has 3 moves, too. A fireball, an uppercut, and a hurricane kick. And you have to get good with those and how to use it at certain times. See, this 2-dimensional fighting game, it has a certain idea, a premise, a way to play. Just with God, too. It's called the way. So if you don't know the way with God, another people like myself, I shut the comments off because people are just blind, deaf, and dumb, and they want to come after me with just useless knowledge of this world. They don't inquire about nothing. They don't want to partake in nothing. So good. This is the battle of knowledge that every man has to go through in order to obtain enlightenment. This is why the fighting has to be important, because you're going to have to fight off the noobs that claim they're good at the game, bruh. How many people I've destroyed at Street Fighter and made them cry? We'll continue on with the story. So as a kid, I'm in the arcade, and the neighborhood is not, it's a good neighborhood, mind you, but there's rough individuals in this neighborhood. So people that have heard me speak over the course of, this year, old friends, new friends, whatever, right? When I was a kid, you guys might know this guy. I'll just call him A. Todding. So A. Todding is a notorious individual in Hamilton, a big guy. And he was a big kid when I knew him when he was a kid. And that's who was at the arcade machine, you see? So this way is straight and narrow. It's kind of difficult. You have to overcome your fears. The other big kids are trying to play. And I got my quarter there. And mind you, my neighborhood, there's two stores. There's a gas station and there's another convenience store, like right beside each other. And as a kid all day, I'm outside looking for quarters to play this game. So there's Totting and all these other individuals that are very big and threatening. And they don't like when kids go there and waste their time, you see? Man is just like this. He doesn't want to lose or waste time with other people that are idiots and don't know what they're talking about or don't know how to play the game right, you see? So that's why God chooses us out of the world, because the people don't play God right anyways. So it also distinguishes between the wheat and the chaff. That's again Matthew 13 verse 38. Separation. This is what calls now the men from the people that die or just dead branches. So now you play the game, and you have to play it now because I'm in this neighborhood. I want to play, but there's these big kids there. And the entry into playing the game is a punch in the arm because they don't want to waste any time. And men are just like this. They don't want to waste any money. They would probably kill their mothers if they lost their quarters in the arcade machine. So that's why the entry into playing the game was first a shot in the arm. And so he paid the price. You see, that's also the way. The pearl of great price, the veil, removing of death, taking you out of society. I've already paid that price too, but that's not yet. I'm still, this is kid me. I'm just learning the ropes. Just like a wrestling camp, God throws you against the ropes, back and forth, and you're in the world of men, buddy. Unenlightened, a noob, and just with, you could say, towering individuals known as totting. So the entry into getting into this line of playing the game for me, because they thought I was whatever, was just a punch in the arm. So I take it, play, and beat them too, and get another punch in the arm, because remember, men don't like to lose. I get threatened, picked on. Yeah, why? Because I was good at the game anyways. I just went in there and played. But people in the world with God's Bibles. So I noticed too, right? You know why people lose in Street Fighter? Because they're too comfortable playing their little Ryus. They won't try Dalsim. So they won't go to the Srimad Bhagavatam. Oh no, their church tells them that there's only this, that, and the other, and no other books of God seen his arcade machine. God's got 100 million Bibles on this earth alone. I am God, you fools. The Book of Mormon, he says that as well too. I have so many books. I have so many characters. But the noobs in the world just want to focus on Ryu. So that's the idea here too. You know why people don't progress in religion, don't progress in God? This is why I shut the comments off. Because people are unenlightened. They don't even think first probably God is real. And any of these other books too. These other characters that they don't even try to play. They're scared to. Not me. Because I know now, like let's say you play your Ryu. You're good with your Ryu. Oh, but then somebody comes up and he's better than you. And he picks like Guile. Yup, Guile's a perfect counter for Ryu. If a good Guile comes up and you're Ryu, you're finished. You can't win. That's what I learned in Street Fighter. There's just things you cannot do because of this other force. It's just this thing with God too. There's certain things you cannot do by following the way. The way is straight and narrow. And you have to master all of my books, all of my knowledge. So, you don't give up on the game. If someone beats you because you just pick Ryu, you gotta pick somebody else. But that's the church world. They don't pick somebody else. They just stick with their noob knowledge, with their milk-fed pastures, bunch of fat babies. Yeah. And they just like to get strolled along there with milky sermons of garbage. Unenlightened noobs that haven't been sitting there with the arcade machine of God in themselves, practicing the virtues. See, God's going to leave you now with your knowledge, broken in time and space. So God's kind of like the $1 million man. At a certain point, you're going to get choked out with the $1 million dream out of nowhere. The dream of material existence. Yeah, God's going to come and he's going to do something because of your prayers, connection, relationship now. But you're going to get left broken like the $1 million man does to the competition in the ring, flat dead. But God's going to stuff, not, the $1 million man stuffs the bill down your throat. But God's going to stuff enlightenment down your throat. And now you're going to have to use this knowledge, you see. You people bragging with your little knowledge. to get back to home, to Godhead, because that's the goal of life. That you don't know, that your milk-fed pastures and your noob knowledge hasn't really encountered. So guys that have played the game, this is all about knowledge. You want to challenge me with knowledge? You have a lot of work to do, because I spent 30 years at that arcade with God, just like I spent about 20 years with Street Fighter, mastering every character. So when the new games come out, you see the new scriptures, I'm prepared. So when Capcom vs. SNK 2 comes out, there's like 50 characters in that game. You can't just be good with Ryu and Ken. You got to be good with everybody, because everybody, see, this religion, oh, they're all involved with it. You see, at that time too, the early 2000s, everybody was playing Capcom vs. SNK 2. So this is all about the acquisition of knowledge. And just like any game too, right? When you beat it, you gain a reward. So with God, if you follow God's way, you gain enlightenment. But I shut the comments off because people aren't interested in that. They want to come after me with their little noob knowledge, right? Their little skill set. They haven't thrown off any super moves at me because nobody's obtained the void, enlightenment, the real Jesus Christ. So that's the idea of the church. It has pitiful knowledge. Guys that are just useless at the game. Because they do something else. This is what the arcade's all about, right? So now you get really good at the game. From when I was a kid till about Capcom vs. SNK 2, that's like 20 years old, 20, 22, whatever. So that's a giant amount of time sitting at home while the other people are off in college, off in school, off in this, off in that. You see, I was taken out of the world early. And sticking to this game that no one really cared about, just like God and his way. No one really cares about that, to dig into the pearl of great price. Matthew chapter 9, that shovel is your own consciousness, digging in with the temple of your own being. I shut the comments off because no one really cares about that. So we'll go back with the arcade. Being good, playing alone. And then going out in the world too now. There's other people that are good too. Other people that are knowledgeable about religion or knowledgeable about the game of Street Fighter. But I noticed I was just beating them like nothing anyways. And it wasn't because of my egotism. It was because I was in a position too at my friend's house. How I learned how to play this game was getting beaten for months and months and months and months. Over and over and over again. I didn't even have a chance to win when I first played this guy. Just like God and his arcade machine himself. You rub your consciousness against God and God can't lose. That's why he gives you enlightenment, because of humility. And because of that, the fact that you're willing to lose and take the beatings, the path is straight and narrow. I was willing to lose to gain this knowledge and sit there with my friend. And he's still a friend to me. I didn't have in my head egotism. Oh, I don't like this guy. He just beats me or whatever. We were having a fun, genuine, good time. And I had a really good time getting my ass kicked. Just the same thing when I played with my friend in the World of Warcraft. I was so good at that game because one night, it took one night too, for 4 or 5 hours he beat me in a duel straight. 4 hours of me getting my ass kicked. 4 hours. Are you willing to take the beatings? See? These beatings, these scoffings, these mockings to play at the arcade of God. It's going to be different. People can't even do that when they play the arcade of video games. They get too angry with other people. I want to kill you, blah, 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 have negative attitudes. They can't be friendly or show humility in defeat. So God already prepped my consciousness. This is why this is all about self-realization too. Humility in defeat gave me his knowledge, all this grinding up against these defeats, because I can learn why I lost. And in the same time, we were friends. He was teaching me the ropes. See, that's a good trainer. Jesus Christ and God's the same way, but there's many characters. And just like there's many characters, there's many counter oppositions. So we have this big opposition known as Satan in our lives. How many people have overcome the false ego, the tunic of flesh? I shut the comments off because no one's overcame the false ego even. No one even comes and asks questions, what's a false ego? You people think you're straight already with your little Bible phrases, coming after me with your little one moves. You're going to get owned in this church. God enlightened my consciousness to the absolute truth. Just like I played those games, that's how diligently I have to work with God in reading the scriptures and making sure I won't lose. So I'm not going to brag about how many times. See the Bible's there? How many times I read the Old and New Testament? It's just how much times I played Ryu over 20 years. 1,000,000 times. I read these scriptures so many times that you people would find it unbelievable if I told you how much times I read the Bibles. the Bibles, the Book of Mormon, the Quran, the Doctrines and Covenants, the Old and New Testament, the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the Bhagavad Gita, the Kolbrin Bible, the Pistis Sophia. You know how many times I read those Bibles? See, that's unbelievable to the average mind who sits around like a peon with his wife, unenlightened. But once God takes you out of the game in life, when I take you out of the world, you got no choice but to grind up that arcade of God and find me anyways, or you're done. Who's going to help you, eh? Are you going to help me with your little Bible verses? I don't think so. That's why God gives us his son in the midst of us. So I don't have to go out to noobs like you or anybody else with their little knowledge about nothing, playing their little Ryus in their little house at church. That's why God gives the scriptures. In this channel, who the hell do you know has ever gave you scriptures? Like the infancy of the gospel of Jesus Christ. You don't even know that's real. Half you people, the book of Hermas. I've never heard of these things. The Oriental wisdom of Lao Tzu, Confucius, Mr. Musashi. None of that. Gone. Rudolf Steiner, Joseph Benner, Joel Goldsmith. See, God grind me the arcade. I stayed home and away from society because I'm more interested in God and playing his arcade, popping in the quarter of my mind into these people, into these ideas. Trying to obtain God because that's the goal. So just like Street Fighter, there's a mission. And the mission is to get to the end of the game. And if you can't do it with your Ryu, you got to pick somebody else. If you can't do it with somebody else, you got to do it with that. See the knowledge? If you can't do it with someone, you got to keep grinding. God's the same way. That's why I shut the comments off, because people haven't been grinding enough. You don't know enough. You want to challenge me with knowledge now? How many Bibles have you read? You probably think there's only one Bible. Just like God says in the Book of Mormon. You probably think Joseph Smith isn't even true prophet. Who made Doctrines and Covenants then? Who made that book? See, the idea with God is you have to obtain the Holy Spirit, seek, ask, and knock. And that's the other thing why I shut the comments off, because the people don't seek, ask, and knock for this Holy Spirit. They don't ask for this enlightened consciousness. How do you obtain it? Nothing. They just want to challenge me with their noob knowledge. Just like other people now, too, when I started challenging people in Street Fighter that just pick their Ryus and throw their miserable fireballs at me. You get pummeled into the corner, because the name of that game there is controlling the 2D plane. You're not allowed to even move in my game. I keep you in the corner and just use block damage to beat you, because you're sitting there blocking. You can't do nothing. When's the last time you played a guy in a game that allows you to do nothing because he's that good? You just sit there and block because you can't do shit. That's how I play the game. See, this knowledge, it has to be used in excellence, or else you fail. Because you sit at home and you have to practice God and his arcade machine within you. And make sure that you're enlightened. Or else you miss the way with God. And God can't help you. God can't be there with you. God can't do anything. The comfort. None of these scriptures will come true for you. That's why people don't have script. They have scriptures, but not God. That's the church. They have some fools there just grinding up nothing. That's why I go to the church too. I could slaughter them with just scripture alone. They probably don't even have any of these messages from these inspired messengers from the You Be Ready channel, the Lord's My Shepherd. Nothing. It's a bunch of church dummies. Just like when I found the arcade too, I got really good at the game. Just some guy, right, waiting for his stupid wife to waste his money in a store. So some idiot would come over and pick Ryu. Not even ask me to play too. The mortals aren't humble enough to even ask, hey, could I play? So when the guys would come up like that, these empty-headed fools, they didn't know how to play anyways because they're just waiting. These casuals, these filthy, filthy casuals. That's what the Lord in the church is saying. Filthy, filthy casuals playing my arcade once a week for an hour. Well, I got people like me dedicated like 24 hours a day, 360 for 30 years. See, we played the game for so long. So that's why I realized too in the world after, just casuals, filthy noobs would come up, not even ask to play with me. They just think they're entitled. See the people in the world entitled nonsense? Fine. Come up and play. I know you're an idiot just waiting for your wife, and I destroy you quickly. So some people wanted to fight me because they didn't like losing that quarter, and they got destroyed immediately. I wasn't scared of people, just like I'm not scared of anybody now. Why? Because I have knowledge, and you don't. Simply put. And I've learned to crush the competition. That's also what God gives. So that's why I read these scriptures over and over and over, because I knew the people of the world will not accept me. Just like Jesus Christ, they won't accept me. Oh, Jerusalem, I would take you. But the Pharisees, they wanted the rituals. They wanted the cheap seats in the synagogues. They wouldn't accept me. So that's why that's why God's like, fine, you won't accept me. You're going to have to learn to either walk the way your own now, because I've already done it. I got nothing to prove to the world about nothing, to myself, to anybody. We are just called upon to do this for the world itself. Lost, confused, playing the wrong game, caught up with stupid people, entangling their quarters into useless women, children they don't even like, and a job they hate, miserable. That's what the game of the world's all about, buddy. And I didn't pump any quarters into that crap. That's why I don't come in the name of the world. I come in the name of the Lord. The one consciousness found in the emptiness, formless, and the void. The first chapter of Genesis. And that's going to open up all the way to the Revelation, right at the last chapter. His kingdom come. See this renewal of creation? I cut the comments off because people are not even interested in that. Oh, what? This creation is going to be renewed by the kingdom of God? Cut the comments off because people just want to come after me with little Bible scriptures. Just like these little noobs wasting their time with their wives. Their wives would just waste their money in some stupid store and then come at me in the arcade and then get angry at me because you're a casual, bruh. You get effing destroyed, bruh. You're angry at me, bruh. You could pump as much quarters as you want into that game and get angry at me. You will never win. Not even physically. Because that's how mentally weak the people are anyways. If I already destroy you mentally, you have no chance physically. That's martial arts. That's obtaining the way. Because life is going to give you those circumstances whether you like it or not. A lot of people die in their sins, their cancers, just like my relatives. Yep, he didn't follow the way. He followed his wife. He put more money, time, attention, arcade quarters into his useless wife. And then when something happens, you see, men don't have any balls to live by their Bible scriptures. They go to their doctors and get pumped full of crap and die anyways. And they get thrown here. Because they didn't play the arcade of God. They played the arcade of the world. With their useless wives. They can't help them. And after they're done, the only thing that they get is their all the riches. Well, men get hell. That's why we come in the name of the Lord, to straighten you up. You want to be knowledgeable? You're coming at a pro, an expert. And the world is novice, hasn't even heard of God before. And then the one consciousness. Oh, Mark 12, there's only one God, Israel. Nope, you want to come after me with 3 deities, 3 bullcrap this? That's your knowledge you're going to have to live by. That's your understanding of the game that you play, bruh. And when you come up to the real, dog, you're going to get smashed. That's how it works. That's life. You dig it, and it's over. Thank you very much.